Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning is a great farewell, or not, to the franchise of movies dating back to the 90s, with awesome stunts per usual paired with plenty of action. The latest installment keeps the trademarked elements of the movies that we all know and love. There are just so many important plot points, details, and events to talk about, so for this review, we'll be dropping our classic spoiler-free formula and adding in some details about the plot. If you don't want this awesome movie spoiled, we recommend coming back after you've seen the film. With that out of the way, welcome to our review of The Final Reckoning. Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning doesn't like to close the doors to the future, but rather for the past. The film has many flashbacks and ties together any loose ends that were previously present in the franchise. It feels like the movie is closing the doors for the general narrative of Mission Impossible films, but also opening new doors for the new franchise. Hopefully, we'll get to see a fresh group of films related to the series that brings back the trademark elements of the franchise, while also creating a brand new narrative. However, The Final Reckoning also enhances events that happen in prior movies. Spoiler warning. The film reveals that the rabbit's foot, a supposed biological weapon present in the third film, was actually a liquid version of the source code that would evolve into the entity, the Final Reckoning's main villain. If you don't know why that was such a big deal, it means the series' protagonist, Ethan, partially caused the chain reaction that led to the making of the entity. This is a huge development that no one was expecting, and as long-term fans of the film, this was certainly a surprise. The movie brought back many characters while not making the film overwhelming. Sadly though, Luther is killed off, which is kinda heartbreaking. Don't worry though, as the movie does introduce many new characters as well. Many of them make the story interesting, the acting itself is as good as it can be, and Tom Cruise brought his classic action-packed persona to the table. As always with the Mission Impossible movies, the stunts are incredible and keep you on the edge of your seat. A particularly awesome scene from the film is the plane scene, which is undoubtedly one of the best stunts to come out of the series. It was amazing to learn that it was largely practical, and Tom Cruise was literally jumping between planes. And of course, there are plenty of explosions throughout the film. While the CGI is minimal, it's incredibly well done and pairs perfectly to the practical sets. There wasn't a single frame we could notice anything sketchy about, although admittedly the narrative is so suspenseful we might have missed something. The movie is without a doubt the most action-packed film to come out of 2025 so far, and its suspenseful and thrilling story is sure to keep you glued to your seat. The film isn't exactly scary, but it does attempt to give you a jump scare once or twice. Being Mission Impossible, some parts of the narrative are a little far-fetched, especially the bit where Tom Cruise floats up from the bottom of the ocean without imploding, but really, who cares? The way the film foreshadows many possible outcomes of its narrative is incredibly well done. For every second of the movie is doing its best to tell you the world would become a nuclear playground, and it had us convinced. Luckily, however, we did not get blown into smithereens and the world remained intact. However, the pacing of the movie was very inconsistent, especially at the beginning. Of course, being a part 2, everything for the story has already been set up, but still, it can be confusing at times. While it's certainly not necessary to watch part 1 again, it could be worth it if you haven't watched it since its release. Of course, part 2 relies on its predecessor story, but it makes sure it doesn't go back and forth between narratives, so as long as you get the general premise of the first film, you should be okay. On top of this, the main villain, or the entity, isn't the best. Whether you could call it a character or not, considering it's a piece of code, is still up for debate. But still, compared to previous Mission Impossible films, The Final Reckoning's main villain is not the best. So, should you watch Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning? If you've already seen the first part, part 2 is a great movie and farewell to the Mission Impossible films. Awesome characters, acting, and stunts create one of the best films of 2025. The movie has plenty of action and suspense that is sure to keep you glued to your seat. However, inconsistent pacing and a villain that can't rival previous films let the movie down. Nevertheless, it's awesome and is definitely worth watching. If you're an action movie fan, The Final Reckoning relies on what Part 1 set up, so if you want to see the latest installment, watching a summary video might be the way to go. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.